My friends, I'm sitting at Christian Tours, a place where I worked for 8 years back in the 90s. And I'm in the sort of the room where people gather to go out on tours. And I'm with two of the coolest people that I used to work with. I'm tickled to death to be here with them. This is on the right. This is Heather Paul. And this is her mom, believe it or not her sister, sitting over here to the left. This is Melanie Owenby, and Melanie is the daughter of Nancy and Eugene Burke, and now the, I guess, president, owner, whatever. What do you call yourself, Melanie? What are you now?
President, owner, you name it. And then Heather and Melissa own a portion of the company now too.
Yeah. Wow. How does that feel to be like an owner of a tour company?
I don't think of it that way. I still think she's my boss, and because she is. I don't think of it that way.
It was the same thing with Mom and Dad. I always owned a portion, but I never thought, you're just kind of in the background.
Now, your dad's been gone for how many years now?
5 years.
5 years. Hard to believe it's that long ago. And your mom died first, though, right?
Yeah, Mama died in August, and then Dad died in February, and it's been 5 years for both of them.
Wow. Melanie, you don't have to talk forever, but as long as you want to, tell a little bit about the history of Christian Tours. I want people to know what this place is. And folks, the reason I'm doing this is a lot of people have asked where it was that I got my skills. Graphic design, photography, writing, videography, web design. And the answer is all here at this place. I had interest in all these things, but I didn't have opportunity to really work professionally and develop professional skills till I came to this place. So I want Melanie to give us a little bit of background and tell us more about the company, and then I'm going to talk about how I got involved here and what it meant to me, and we're just going to talk some old times, right?
Okay.
So Melanie, tell me about Christian Tours.
In the 70s, of course, people didn't travel hardly anywhere in the 70s, like they do now. And my dad was minister of music and education in a Baptist church in Asheville. And he got started taking trips to Hawaii. People were going to Hawaii, and people were going to Holy Land, and they would take large groups, when they went. Well, he and Mom was going to go on their 25th wedding anniversary to Hawaii, and people got started and said, I want to go with you, I want to go with you. So they went with them. When they got back,
we're talking 70-some people.
Wow.
A lot of people. When they got back, they said, let's travel again. So we had a neighbor that was a Trailways bus driver, and Mom and Dad got with him, and they planned a trip to go up into Canada. Well, they did that, and when they got back, people wanted to travel again. So they just kept, okay, go with us here, there, and yonder. So they did. And then after they started doing that, Dad was still a minister of music there at Merriman Avenue Baptist Church in Asheville. But in the late 70s, they just kept taking people on trips. And then it started getting big. In 1982, the World's Fair was coming to Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah. Well, Asheville's real close to Knoxville, so Dad bought a bunch of tickets to the World's Fair. It was a big deal. And that was, we sold out every coach that we had planned. And we were wanting to use another company in 1982 for transportation. They said we can't provide that. So because it was such a big deal for our company, and knowing if we ever wanted to move back down to Catawba County, we better get going then. So we all packed up, moved in December 1981 to Catawba County. In 1982, we bought our first motor coaches, and we're on this property here. And then after 1982, this building was built, and the garage was built, and everything came along after that, after 1982. So it was just an explosion, really.
The thing, okay, so I want y'all to understand the scope of what Christian Tours is. When I worked here, y'all had the reputation of being the largest tour company in the Southeast that owned their own buses. Mm-hmm. So, we call them motor coaches. Tell me, do you want me to call it motor coach or bus?
They're expensive.
They're expensive.
They're very expensive bus. So they're Prevo motor. How many motor coaches do y'all have now?
We have 61 vehicles in our fleet now. 50 motor coaches, and the rest are mini coaches and
Sprinters.
Sprinter vans and but 61 vehicles.
Now, what they're talking about, Sprinter vans and also what you have to do, one of the things you have to coordinate if you're going to run a motor coach company is how to get all the people to the places to pick up the bus or pick up on the bus. And so they send out shuttle buses, shuttle vehicles and stuff, and they go out to kind of spider out from the main place. But they bring the people to rendezvous points so that they can all meet. And it's super planned, super efficient. So Melanie, how old were you when all this was kicking off? Were you in your teens still?
I started working for Mom and Dad when I was 22 years old. And I'm 65 now.
That's hard to believe you're 65. Wow.
So I've been here ever since then with Mom and Dad.
Heather, when I first met you, you must have been like 18 or 19 years old. Forgive me for how old?
I was in college. I'm 45.
45.
And what I remember, the most coolest thing I remember is I was at college and a business major, and internet was kicking off, and it was getting big, and one of my professors will be, does anybody have a website they'd like to show us and talk about? And I raised my hand. I'm like, this is a cool website, and Tony did it. I'm not, you had the train going across the, I don't know at that time what it was called, a banner or something, and my professors were impressed, and I was like, yes, this is cool.
I want to talk a little bit about your dad, and I want to talk a little bit about how I came to be here. Because, so I've not been blatantly Christian message type on my YouTube channel, and hopefully I won't lose any subscribers for being this. But I'm going to give my testimonial about because this is sort of the magical, amazing place that I feel like God put me into to develop and become what I became, which what I am now, and. So I will briefly tell you the story, and in this story we're going to talk about your dad, and we'll talk about your mom and you, and I'll try to make it brief because I want to talk more to them than me rattling on. But I will say this: I was working for an engineering firm at this point, and it's in 1993, I think, or 94, somewhere along in there, and The engineering firm was being sold out. At that engineering firm, I had learned that I really liked Macintosh computers, and I liked drawing and doing page layout and stuff, and I was doing reports. And I had been doing just minor things like church bulletins and little bits of graphic design and going to the library. You didn't have the internet then at that point, and I was going to the library and checking out books and trying to learn about graphic design. And but the engineering firm was selling out, and I did not have an engineering degree. And so I learned I was going to probably lose my job. And so I was going to go to Charlotte and interview with a company called RPS, which is like a UPS is now. They're probably not that. I don't even know if they exist anymore. So I was going to go to Charlotte, and I had an interview set up. And I was going to drive from Conover all the way to Charlotte. And I'm coming down this hill, and I had been by your place a dozen times going back and forth to Charlotte on 16. And I would look over here and say, well, that's a pretty place. Wonder what's up there, Christian Tours. And in my mind, what I thought it was like Christian retreats or something. I thought your place was a big Christian camp or something, and of course I was a Christian, and I'd been praying a lot about my job. I'd been praying, oh Lord, I can't be without a job. I need a job. And Lord, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Just give me guidance, Lord. Please help me. And I'd pray and I'd read my Bible and everything. And so I was going to Charlotte for this interview. And as I come down the hill, I'm not going to say I heard a voice. It wasn't a voice. It was like a strong impression, a very strong impression that said to me, you should go there and apply. And I'm coming down the hill, and I'm seeing the beautiful landscape here, and hopefully I'll get some drone shots of this later, because this is an incredible, beautiful place that they have here, this massive grounds and just gorgeous. And but anyway, I was coming down the hill, and I thought, this is an odd feeling. Why am I thinking about going? And I knew I had X amount of time to get to Charlotte, or I was going to miss my interview. And I drove right past it, and as I'm driving past, it's almost like somebody scolding me. It's like, well, you missed an opportunity there. That's what went through my head. And I remember I grabbed my steering wheel, and I was kind of like, why are these thoughts coming to my head? You got to be in Charlotte in 35 minutes, and so I'm kicking butt, going down the road too fast. And I get down here to where 150 crosses 16. I'm sitting there at the red light, and this, and it was just driving me crazy. And the thing in my head said, you need to turn around and go back and put in an application at that place. And it was almost like my daddy or my mama or somebody just chastising me is what it felt like. And I remember I was shaking and almost mad. And I turned around and I said, well, by golly, I'm not going to get that job, but I feel like I got to go there and apply. And I came up the hill, and I was just freaking out, honestly. I was freaking out when I came in here, and I did. I came in with a briefcase. Here I was just hoping to find any kind of business-type job, any kind of something. Didn't even know what Christian Tours was. I walk in, Barbara. What's Barbara's last name? Barbara. Is Barbara still around?
Yeah, she's her husband died, but she's still good.
I won't go to say Barbara was awesome. Barbara said, can I help you? And I'd like to apply for a job, I think. And, well, do you drive a bus? And I said, no. And I said, I'm starting to think, oh, no, this is about driving a bus. Why in the world am I here? And I'm thinking, why am I here? And I remember your mama. Now, I didn't know it was your mama. I thought it was the maid.
Yeah.
Was back here in the back sweeping. She was sweeping up the floor. And I know it's this kind of sweet little lady, it seemed like to me. And I said hi to her and talked to her for a minute. And I told Barbara, I said, no, I don't drive a bus. I said, honestly, what I do is I sort of do like computer graphics, and I'm a writer. And I said, my degree's in English and communications, and I honestly don't know why I'm here, but I feel like I'm supposed to put in an application, so I'm here to put in an application. And your mama was listening to all this, and Barbara said, well, I'll get you an application, but, all we need is drivers right now. And so she got me the application. I felt like a fool. When I came in here, I think I sat at that table there, or that's about the location where I was, and I filled out the application. And I'm sitting here the whole time going, this is crazy. Why am I even doing this? I'm wasting my time. And I'm filling out the application. And when I come back out there, you came out to meet me, and you said, and you looked at my application for about 5 minutes. You're just kind of darting through it and everything. You said, I want you to come back and meet somebody. And you took me back to meet Eugene. And Eugene was the larger-than-life type figure. He was like, I don't know, what was Eugene? Eugene was like, I don't know.
Santa Claus.
He was. He was just one of the most impressive, cool, really non-pretentious people to be a very successful millionaire businessman. I mean, being honest. So I'll to answer the question, what happened, or to wrap this up, what happened is Eugene started asking me questions. Well, do you use a Macintosh computer? Well, yeah, I got one at the house. Do you know anything about Quark Express? Well, honestly, no, I don't. But I know what it is. I think I could learn it. Do you know anything about Photoshop? Yeah, I got like Photoshop version 2. I can edit photos. And I pulled my little briefcase up and I started showing him brochures and stuff that I'd done. And he said, we had a guy, he said, we don't have a full-time job. He said, but we have a fellow that was in a car wreck, and they were talking about Michael, remember? And he said, and he's probably going to come back in about 8 or 10 weeks or 12 weeks. We don't know for sure, but he's been in a car wreck, and he helps us out in our advertising department. And there's a guy down there named Dan Laney that's our advertising manager, and you could maybe fill in with Dan if you could learn Quark Express. And we could put you on the road, and you could be a tour director too. We could be, he said, where all have you traveled? And I was ashamed to say, I said, Mr. Burke, all I've ever been, I've never been north of Richmond, Virginia. I've been down to the Keys. I used to go down there with my buddies, and we'd snorkel. I said, I've been as far west as Knoxville, Tennessee. That's all I've been. I said, I've been to see a baseball game in Atlanta. That's about it, because I had never traveled. And he said, well, he says, you can learn. We got a training program, and you'll be trained, and Nancy will oversee that, and Melanie will work with you. And so I remember I went home, and I was honestly in shock. It was the weirdest thing. It's like, what has just happened? It was just the most bizarre thing, and I saw God in it, but I think it was many years, and now with much hindsight, I see that was the Holy Spirit leading me into what I was supposed to be. And Christian Tours was the vehicle for that to happen. And so Melanie took me downstairs to meet a guy named Dan Laney. And Dan's been gone from here for a good while, right?
Yeah.
But Dan was a brilliant He was a former Army graphic designer who had worked in the Army in Germany and various places during the Vietnam War era. He worked in Germany, but the Army had a graphic design place, and Dan had a degree from Central Piedmont Community College, and Dan was the guy that designed the first crown that was used for Charlotte's Queen City logo emblem, and Dan had done all kinds of brochures about gonorrhea and stuff for the Army. It was awful. And he showed me all these things.
I never saw that.
He was a cartoonist, and he would do cartoons and stuff. But he was also a brilliant graphic designer from the old school. But Dan and I complimented each other because I was a tech geek, and Dan never read the manual for Quark Express. He just figured it out as he went. And I think it was good for Dan that I came in because I was that young geek guy I was 30 years old, and I was willing to read all the manuals and learn all the ins and outs. So before long, I became really good at Quark Express. And then what happened over the course of Michael's, so the person that had the car wreck, over his recovery, when he came back and worked for a little while, but he decided to go to work for another tour company. Mm-hmm. And so suddenly I had a job. I knew I really had a job. And the other thing that happened was I went through this training program that is done here. And I'm going to get Melanie and Heather to talk more about that. But I went through the awesomest training program and went out, and it's sort of like you apprentice, almost like apprentice with other tour directors and bus drivers, and y'all put us on sample trips first, like Branson or Niagara Falls or Nashville, Tennessee, until we get our feet under us, and then you start giving us more meaty, tougher type assignments. And folks, it's not easy. It's not what you think. It's not glamorous. It's hard work. You basically work from like 6:30 in the morning till about midnight, and you barely get sleep because you're really overseeing taking care of people's enjoyment of the trip. You're handling their luggage. You're making sure they get checked in, making sure all the bills get paid. I guess it's still the same way, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of hard work, but it's also massive learning possibilities. So I'm going to hush. The last thing I'm going to say is that never in my life, for a period of 8 years, did I learn more than I did here. What happened about 1995 or 96, the internet started happening. And the reason I brought this whole up in the whole thing up is your dad was one of the most forward-thinking people as far as technology goes. He was constantly, he'd call me in from time to time, Tony, do you think we ought to start doing digital video? And why, sure. And Tony, there's this thing called websites. What do you know about them? I said, well, Dean, and at that point there might have only been 5,000 websites. But we logged on, we got a browser, a Netscape, or whatever it was back then in the old days, and we looked at websites. And Dean, what software do you think we need? And I said, Dean, I read this article. There's this little thing called PageMill, and we can start making that website you're talking about. I made a thing called Adobe PageMill. Anyway, I digress. But what happened? Like I say, Dean was a forward-thinking, amazing guy, and Nancy was the one that made everything work. She was the one that cracked the whip and supervised everything, and she was part of everything and just keeping an eye on making sure the work got done and scheduling tour directors and bus drivers. And you had this awesome crew of people that I don't think I've ever worked with, more dedicated people. And just good folks. And the last thing I'll say is, as I remember the first day I came here, Dan Laney, the thing that impressed me the most was he said, you've been given a really good opportunity because it's not everybody that gets to sell fun. And that's your job. Your job is to sell fun. Mm. And like, I'm here now, I work for hospitals, and that is not fun. It is a hard thing to sell health care because nobody wants it till they have to have it. So I'm going to hush. And Melanie, I guess what I want is tell me, let's talk about those times and the challenges you've faced, and just talk about the success and trials and how you've been able to keep your head above it in the COVID age and stuff like that. I just want to know all of it. So
I want to talk about you. I thought it was, you were downstairs with Dan working, but anytime anybody ever asked if you would do something, I'll do it. Just give me just a little bit. You never said no. You were always willing. You were always going to do something for somebody. And you came up with tours. You could create tours. You helped with doing that. You were just so willing and able and wanting, and it was just, there's been a few people like you that's come in our doors, and for the same, God brought them. It's just a God thing that He brought these people. And they mean so much to our company, because I can look back and what you did for us and how you helped us develop and where we are now. I mean, without you, we wouldn't be where we're at, because there would have been a null in there. Now, God, not saying we wouldn't, but God could have brought somebody else, but He brought you. So it was just a blessing to have you here. I can look back and know that, it's just, we were the ones that were blessed because of what God did, but we've grown tremendously. Since you were here,
I think you had like 36 buses or something when I left. Now you got how many again?
Well, we got 61 units.
63 commercial vehicles with 50 motor coaches.
Yeah, but, we just kept on with the vehicles, and before this COVID, it was like we were just, how are we going to keep up with business, because it was just booming. And then with COVID in March, and we couldn't travel. Well, the first thing, it was just, we had to keep the doors open because we were getting so many calls. We had to cancel tours, refund money. It took all of us to get the money back to people and to stay in business. And then, thank God for the PPP loans that we got. So it was a struggle. We started traveling again last July. We were totally out from March to July, and the last trip we did in March was Branson, and the first trip we did in July was Branson again. So we ran about 53, 55 trips last year. Business was down 85%. So it's only through God that we're still in business.
Do you see the light at the end of the tunnel though?
Well, I didn't. I held off on the catalog. Normally our catalog goes out in October, and it's in people's homes by November. Well, I thought there's no reason to do that. First, I don't even know what's going to be open, and I kept putting it off, and finally I said, we've got to get it out. So we got it out at the end of February. And it was just seemed like the right time. And then we did this thing called Catch the Coach for Deals on Wheels. So instead of us going into all these restaurants and them coming into a restaurant, which I never knew they could get into because they're closed down, we had our motor coach sitting in all these places at different times, 9, 11, 2, and 4. And they had to call us and make a reservation to get on the motor coach. We only allowed 22 people, and of course we got 52 seats, so they were spaced out, and started it the weekend of February 19th or something like that, which was a little bit too early, but today was our last day here at Christian Tours having that, and it's been a success. People are ready to travel, and and the phones are ringing, so it's going to take a while to get back. Because there's still people that don't want to travel yet. They're still afraid. And there's places that's not open. Canada's not open yet. Washington, D.C.'s not open. New York doesn't open till April 1st. So there's still things that's got to open up.
But New York State is open.
Yeah. Well, New York State opens April 1st. So, we would have traveled last year, but you couldn't get there. The states wouldn't let you come in, and then if you came in, you could.
Not all the places were open.
So we did everything we could last year.
One of the things I was always impressed with here is just the problem solving. Like that whole idea you had to having the coach come to the coach and X amount of people and get on the coach because you don't know if the restaurants are going to be. We used to have like preview dinners in restaurants. That's how you promote. You promote your new tours. Still do it if the restaurants are open.
Until this year.
Yeah.
But Christian Tours was one of those companies was always looking for something. You always had ideas. I don't know where you come up with them, but you came up with every obstacle you'd face. You'd come up with some awesome way to do it. And the thing I want people to know is this is not a garden variety tour company. Everybody was trained so well, and the staff worked so hard together. And it's not the cheapest tour company either. It's not the cheapest, but I always thought it was the best. And I've done some tours with other companies, and the thing about Christian Tours, you had a great driver, a great tour director, great equipment, and very well organized. Everything was put together so that pretty much, unless you had some sort of accident or something weird on the road, and not the vehicle, it was always very safe. But unless there was some delay, then everything went like clockwork. Mm-hmm. And so the traveling experience was just superb, and I felt like I was always working for one of the best companies, and it was like selling fun. It was magical, and people would come in off these trips, and I'd see them go out. We'd get on the bus, and everybody'd be kind of a little bit dry and dour maybe or whatever, and by the first day they're starting to become friends. And by the end of the 7, 8, 10-day trip or whatever, it's like they're part of family, and you see these people start relationships, and we're exchanging phone numbers and addresses, and then you start seeing them the next trip, and here's two people together that met on the previous trip. Sure. And they're traveling together, and they're going on longer trips, longer extended trips, and it was sweet what you said about the whole tour development thing. But Melanie would always take me to these conventions, and we go. It's called ABA, and we get to go and sit and talk for like 10 minutes each to all these different people who come and try to tell you why you should come to their place. And I would take these notes, and I would try to ask them questions and try to feel out whether their thing was really nice or not. And then I would come back to you and say, Melanie, I got ideas for this. What do you think? Would this sell? And so Melanie would give me guidance, and it was an incredible. It was funny. So you'd have to go write these tours, and Dean would tell you what's going to sell the tour is the story. Yeah, it's got to be a good story. You got to paint a picture in your mind. We've got to have pretty pictures in it, and so we'd be scanning. And then we had slides. Yeah. We'd have to scan slides, and we didn't have the stock art and stuff that you get now. And we find begging people for pictures, or we'd go out and we'd shoot them. And I remember on the wall where I'd write the tours, I had like 100 adjectives, like spectacular, beautiful, winsome, gorgeous, epic. And I sit here and go, okay, this is probably epic. So I try to mix it up enough so that the tours didn't all sound the same. But the thing that was cool about it is you knew you were telling the truth. And if we ever found a place that wasn't good and wasn't fun, we just took it out and we find something better. Right. And so that's what, again, talk about that, Melanie. It's like y'all were always striving to improve. And yeah. I remember we did they still do the log sheets and stuff.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about what you do to improve your tours.
Well, the tour directors and drivers are on every one of our trips. It's not like we hire some outside people. They're our people. And so anytime they go to a place and the restaurant's not what we want, or the attraction, we may have to leave it in for a year because it's what's written in their catalog, but it's out next year. If we hear, or sometimes even if it's not what we wanted, we will take it out that year if it's not what the people told us it was going to be. So, if a hotel's not up to par, we knock it out and get something else. And we've always been about improving, make sure it's the best. Not the most expensive. We don't stay in these 5-star deluxe hotels because people don't feel comfortable staying in those ritzy hotels where you can't afford the food.
Unless the hotel is the attraction, like the Opryland Hotel.
Yeah, that or Mackinac, the Grand Hotel. Those things I'm not talking about. But you know how some of these Hyatts and Hiltons that's for business people.
But it's always nice. Where we stay is always nice and clean.
Always nice, but people kind of get intimidated sometimes by some of those hotels where you have to spend so much money for breakfast and so much money for dinner. But we stay in very nice hotels. But like I say, we always are looking for the best, and our tour directors and drivers are the ones that help us to do that. They inform us. Like you said, we have logs, and having your own people and trusting your own people is what it's all about.
Now I don't want to short Heather. I got to get Heather talking soon. So quick question, Heather. First of all, what is your title exactly here now?
Personnel director is what it is right now.
You're the personnel director.
Yeah.
So you hire all the new people?
I hire all the drivers and tour directors.
Yeah.
I hire all the drivers and tour directors, and then
Tell us what you're looking for.
People ask over and over what. For the driver, it's totally different than a tour director. The driver has to have a CDL with a Class A or Class B. They need experience. They got to have a clean background.
Yeah.
We do background checks, drug and alcohol checks, but really their driver's license and their history. It doesn't matter what they've driven, as long as they have a A or B. And a personality.
Yeah.
A driver's personality and their character means a lot. You want to be able to, they're driving probably the most expensive vehicle out on the road.
How much okay, do you mind me asking? I know they used to be about, hey, how you doing, brother? It's great to see you. Heather's the husband's here. Sean, you want to come in and say hey?
I think that was Levi.
That's
your
my son.
What? Wait a minute. Come here a minute. In the shadows, I thought it was, holy crap. I thought it was Sean.
That's Levi.
Dude, so how old is he?
He is 19.
Well, you look a lot like you, in the dark, you look like your dad, like a spitting image on him. That is crazy.
He's our cleaning crew.
Yeah.
Wow.
I gotta clean over here.
Well, yeah, that's a good job, man.
He's a good
It's
cleaner.
not a bad
Some
thing.
extra money.
But so back when I worked here, it's like there was $650,000 buses. Is that way more than that?
No, they weren't quite that much. They're around 570,000.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
it's about what they are now. So I don't know. Maybe
Somebody misled
maybe
me.
we bought 2 or 3 at a time.
So keep on going here.
So again, it's their character, and can you figure all that out in an interview? Most of the time, I think I can.
Yeah, you get a feel for
you
people.
You get a feel for them. They're driving the most expensive thing on the road as far as a vehicle, more than likely. But at the same time, they're driving people.
Yeah.
People's lives are. You can replace mirrors. You can replace expensive furniture. You can replace cars, but people. So they've got to understand that their job is the number one job out there for us. Moving people. Absolutely important. And but their personality, they've got to be a people person. They've got to want to serve. I think serving our passengers and a servant's heart is important. And there's no schooling that does it for them. They just have to have it. Tour directors, different what you're looking for, their abilities. A lot of a tour director, to me, suits up in line with a teacher, because they're used to having a boss, someone that they've got to, like a principal.
Yeah.
They're dealing with a classroom, a group and environment. They're dealing with an outside environment, such as a parent that they're trying to please. And they are fun, they're educating, and they know how to do some type of homework.
Yeah.
So
it takes a lot of research
it does.
to run a tour really well.
It does. So I just think a teacher makes good sense as far as what all involves, but lots of other backgrounds can make a wonderful tour director, but it is the person, who they are. Then to me, the tour director and the driver can make the destination that much better.
Yeah.
I've actually talked to a tour director before and, said, a rainy day is tough for a tour director. Weather in general can be tough for a tour director. It can be tough for passengers. I know I enjoy sunshine. This past few weeks, sunshine has been great. But so I asked a tour director one day, I said, what do you do on rainy days? And they'll say, I'll tell everybody, close your eyes, because this is what's out there. Imagine this mountain. Imagine.
Really?
And seriously.
I never tried that.
And I think it's the tour director's ability, quick wit, how they respond, and getting people to see what is out there and the good. And because they've been there, done that, they can share, and it just makes it. To me, having a tour director with those abilities, they can't get it on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes sort of a special person. You know whether that person's got it or not. And,
Sure.
and in time, if they don't, you know that too.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
so a lot of people are going to ask about the Christian aspect of this. I remember your mama used to say, "You don't have to be a Christian to travel with, but you need to act like one," which I thought was brilliant. But the truth is, the tour itself is not. It is run with a sort of a Christian family values sort of nuance, I guess, or
We have a
or
devotion.
thing. You have a devotion.
morning,
To-
yeah.
Tell them how Christianity works into this and why it's not exclusive that you have to be a Christian, but tell them what to expect on the trip.
Matter of fact, I just talked to the person today that helped Mom and Daddy name the company. He was a district attorney, and he went to our church in Merriman Avenue in Asheville. And of course, when Mom and Daddy started the company, they had to have all the corporation and everything, learn everything about how to have a company and come up with the name. So they were talking to him, and he goes, "Well, what do you want to do?" And, "Well, we just want to take Christian people on tours. We want Christians to travel together." And he said, "Well, then call it Christian Tours."
Wow.
And so that was where the name came. They said, "Okay, we'll call it Christian Tours because it'll be Christian, hopefully that Christian people will travel together and have a good time."
And some people think Christians are last name. They think that's why that's on the side of the coach.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. It's not that we say you can't go because you're a certain religion or whatever.
Right.
That's not it.
Exactly.
Our staff, we do talk to them, and especially our tour directors, because they are sharing a devotion. And I want the devotion to mean something for the staff member. So it's, what does this devotion mean to them? Are they reading their Bible? Are they doing something what are you sharing with the customer? And it's not a denomination. It's just being able to testify about who Jesus is. And that's not even that either. I don't want a customer to feel like they're banged on the head on you got to be a Christian, you got to be a
It's a brief.
Christian.
Usually you do about, 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure,
A little
sure.
devotion in the morning.
Right.
You sing some hymns maybe.
Right, yeah.
Then you have a song book that has a whole lot of other kinds of songs in
Right,
it too.
it does. It does. National anthems.
Yeah.
It has
All kinds
folk
of
songs.
Coming
yeah.
around the mountain as she
Right,
as she
yeah,
comes.
right.
and all that.
yeah. Patriotic songs. But, and I'll say this on our Facebook page recently, someone said, "Well, why are you going to the Parthenon in Nashville?" So it's the replica of it.
Why, yeah.
Said, "Well, isn't that all about Greek mythology? And here's Christian Tours going to a
Pagans,
place that," and to me, that didn't even.
Yeah, but you're not going there to worship
No,
Zeus.
yeah, right,
You're going there to see a really cool structure.
Yeah, and Christians and all
I mean,
kinds of
Radio
people.
City Music Hall isn't made for Christians, but we go see the Rockettes.
Sure, yeah. So it's about seeing things that's
Yeah.
out in the world,
Yeah.
but it's how you see them. Again,
We're supposed to be salt in the world.
Right.
We're not supposed to hide ourselves under a
Rock.
bushel, right?
It's supposed to be the light. Yeah.
So it's just that, we're still going and seeing and doing things, but it's not. It's in the manner of how we're doing it, and we do. There are things, Broadway shows, that our people wouldn't feel comfortable
Right.
seeing. It would make some people very uncomfortable, and that's not what we want to do either. We want to be able to, if you're traveling with your 4-year-old or your 16-year-old, they would both feel comfortable. You wouldn't have to pull their ears, shut their ears. I would consider us a G-rated
Tour
show.
company. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Family friendly.
I never had thought of that. That sounds about right. And it was a joyous thing to work here. Every day was fun. It's not that it wasn't a challenge. It was a challenge.
Yeah.
And I remember when 9/11 happened, and that was in some ways I think COVID's worse to the tour business because they make you limit everything. But when 9/11 happened, everybody was afraid to travel, and I mean, talk about that challenge, Melanie, when that happened. That was another one of those dark moments that you didn't know.
You probably remember more of that than I do. I just know that thing about 9/11, before that happened, we had like 5 trips scheduled to New York.
I was supposed to
during
tour
that
direct
time.
one of them.
And I couldn't figure out why nobody was on those trips, why I kept having to cancel and cancel and cancel. I canceled 5 trips to New York. And then come to find out, 9/11 happened at that time, and we wound up with no trips in New York during that time. Man, that was amazing to know that later. But it was a terrible time, but I don't even think about that now. I don't remember
Wow.
it.
Water under
as-
the bridge.
Yeah, because there's been so many other things that happened. It was a terrible time when it happened, and we lost a lot of money, during that time, but. And hopefully COVID, in another 10 years, I won't think of COVID
Yeah,
anymore.
hopefully so.
Yeah, I hope it'll be
I hope-
gone and we
Amen.
don't have to worry about that again. But you probably remember it more than I do.
I just remember Dan and I were sitting down there and we were working on, it was in September, we were working on a catalog.
Dad had his TV. He always watched TV
Yeah,
in his office.
he got on the intercom and said, "Folks, an airplane hit one of the Twin Towers."
Right.
And Dan and I had a television down there because I would do video and use it as a monitor. So we turned the TV on, and Dan and I were watching. Wow, what kind of dummy had? What happened? That he ran into the Twin Tower, and then we're sitting there watching it as the second plane hits,
Right.
and then all then the world knew. And what was going on. And then we're sitting there and we're listening. We're hearing the Pentagon get hit, and then we hear about the plane going down in Pennsylvania. I just remember it was insane, and it did make it hard for a while. I remember it's sort of like the tour industry died down a lot. It's not it's sort of a volatile industry to be in, isn't it, in a way?
But you said you were working on the catalog, so I guess we went ahead and got the catalog
I'm
out
pretty
that
sure we
year.
did. Yeah, I think we still did a reunion tour.
Yeah, it didn't stop us. We kept going, but I think probably took us out for, 3 or 4 weeks. Nothing like being out for a year.
Melanie, I know you probably have never, maybe you have sat down and thought this. How many hundreds of thousands or possibly millions of people do you think have gone on? Did you have any clue how many people have traveled? How many tours?
Well, just the tour business, you're looking at anywhere from 15 to 20,000 a year, but that's not counting all the people that's ridden on the motor coaches.
Yeah.
Because we charter
them out to
we
go to-
charter the
yeah.
motor coaches out to everyone, that needs
So,
transportation.
so if you need a motor coach and you're here somewhere in this area, and you guys will range out to a long way.
Oh, yeah, yeah. 500 miles probably.
So 100 miles?
500.
500 miles.
We pick up people,
In Nashville.
Well,
or
Nashville or
Atlanta.
Florida or,
Wow.
Washington, D.C.
And so if you wanted to have that premium motor coach with a really great Christian Tours driver, tour director, if you need a tour director, whatever, you can charter the buses too, motor coaches.
Or private tours.
And they are the most
And
comfortable.
mini coaches too,
And mini coaches?
22 to 27 passengers.
All you do is call it, and I'll be sure to share the number. And the website's still BurkeChristianTours.com.
Yeah,
It is.
but we got ransomware back in October. Totally took
Really?
everything out. We lost
That was terrible.
everything.
What happened?
Ransomware. Somebody wanted how much money?
Somebody hacked into your
They wanted
system.
45 Bitcoin.
45 Bitcoin, which was like how many?
800,000. It was
Yeah.
it was
What
insane.
What did you do? How did you alleviate that?
We lost it all. We lost it all. Had the whole thing about it was 2 years ago, I knew we'd been on this reservation system for a long time, ever since you've been here. So I had a guy start,
From scratch.
developing a new reservation system. Well, we were supposed to have gone on it maybe by the first of this year, but back when that happened, back in October, I called and I said, I hope you've got that program somewhere that we can start into it, because I think we've probably lost everything we had.
Oh my
So
Lord.
he had our
Backup.
customers and everything backed up as of July of last year. So we lost everything. We lost a lot of customers. We lost a lot of information, but we had to go onto that computer, new reservation system.
Learn something new.
That we are still, every day, there's something
Mercy.
that has to be changed. We had to go back and redo QuickBooks. We've had to redo everything. The catalog, she had where you worked, she had that backed up on a different backup system because of that we didn't lose the information that was for the catalog. We got that. And then our motor coach system, it was in the cloud. The people had that in the cloud, so we could go back to,
Yeah.
didn't
You do some
lose-
restoration.
And do
Yeah.
some restoration, but everything else
Holy
gone.
cow, you have faced some challenges lately.
Yes, but the good thing, if it had happened the year before in October, we would have been out. There would have been no way we could have kept up with business.
No.
So if God was going to allow that to happen, that was the perfect time.
We learned
for
a
it.
lot.
Yeah.
Heather, what's it like working for your mom? I mean, is it awesome to have? I'm sure she's tough on you because moms are tough on the kids and all, but has it been a blessing and kind of cool in your life to work day in, day out with your mom?
I think of it as a family business is difficult. And not every single family member can make it work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of give and take. And she has, I'll get choked up. She has qualities I don't have.
Your mom's a strong woman.
And I have some she don't have.
Yeah.
I am our customer service person too. And the reason for that is I try my best to see it from a customer's point of view.
And she likes to talk, and she's got a lot of fluff. I am straight.
she's got personality out the wazoo.
straight to the point.
I feel like, Grandma taught me how to listen to customers, and she taught me what to say. And I'm pretty good on my feet with a customer, but I do try to look at it from their point of view. And if I were to be upset, I would want somebody to listen and talk to me, and at least make it right.
Yeah.
And I think we try our best to make it right to them, but I want to get it right from the first time. So the good thing about me being customer service and the personnel director is anything that I think happens the wrong way, I'm immediately telling our staff, this is how it needs to be done moving forward. But working with Mom, she's I would never want to negotiate with her.
Your mom's a businesswoman.
Yes, she is.
She's
She
like
is.
you, Dean and Nancy were both
Yeah.
very keen business people.
Right. I wouldn't want to negotiate against her, but I would want her to negotiate for me.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of, again, people I don't think always could work with family day in and day out, and I see it can be a hindrance, but we've made it work.
Same thing with working with my mom and dad. I could say what I had to say, and I could get
She's the
mad,
boss.
but once they said it, once Dad or Mom said
Yeah.
this is how it's going to be, I would have to just eat it and get over it, and it was their final decision.
Yeah.
And every now and then I have to make sure, no, we're not going to do that. This is my final decision. We're going to do it this way. And they don't, Melissa and Heather don't necessarily like it sometimes, but I've got to make that final decision sometimes.
Well, that you earned that, and you did. You earned the right to that, and it's your heritage, and it's your family's business, and it's your family's reputation and everything. So yeah, I never. I mean, everybody butt heads here from time to time.
Sure.
It wasn't like it was all kumbaya. It wasn't. I mean,
Not with Dan Laney.
Oh yeah, with Dan to come in. I can't believe Melanie decided to do that. She could take out a whole section, move it, and and I'd sit there and go, "Yeah, Dan, just chill, man. It's good. We'll just do it. We'll just do it." And it was funny. And in the end, we always landed on our feet. And it was all the thing I liked is we do that catalog. And it was the most gratifying thing to me that we'd work on this catalog. Now I'm talking about a big catalog, folks. It was like
280 something pages.
it was 230 something when I was here,
Okay.
so it's expanded even more.
No, it's 225 right now.
I don't know.
Something like that. It was,
Yeah.
it was crazy, a number. And but as soon as that, we'd finish it, and it would start going out, and you knew immediately when it hit the mailboxes because the phones would go crazy ringing, and it was I gotta say, as a person working in advertising, it was super satisfying. You come upstairs, and we didn't take Dan and I were all still working on brochures and specialty flyers and stuff, and so we didn't take reservations. But I'd go and ask people. Did you have a lot of people call? Oh, we had 60-some people, and it's different. And the other thing I want you to know is what the operation was here and still is is it's not just tour directors and drivers. It was people taking reservations. It was receptionists. It was people chartering the buses and scheduling the buses and dispatching people. And there's still a department, a hotel department that books all the hotels, a department that books all the attractions.
Yeah.
And meals.
What does Melissa do?
Melissa basically oversees part of the office now, and the actual tours.
And Melissa is Heather's younger sister.
Yeah.
So who's not with us today. She was here, and I wanted to at least get a picture of her. Maybe I'll go on Facebook and get a picture of her so you know what she looks like. They're beautiful, beautiful young ladies, both of them.
She's a hard worker, and she's the one that's working with our tour developer now to get our program working. It's day in and day out, because when you're developing a program, you got a glitch here, a glitch there, an error here, and every day she's on the phone with him, and she's got such a sweet spirit about it. Me, I would have been gone crazy, but she's just,
I
laughing.
was always impressed with both you girls. I mean, and Melissa was sort of that more, I guess, almost heady type, cerebral type person, and you were the one that just really met people well. You know what I'm saying? Just impressed people.
I think that's
you were a charmer,
Well, and growing up, that was me. I was the one that spoke to everybody, and she was the background. But good grief, did we have some fun, and still can.
Yeah.
And we still go out to lunch, all three of us,
really?
every single day.
I am curious, Melanie, so Udine had his hat in a lot of different rings. It wasn't just a tour company. He had like an Angus farm, and he had what was it? We had all kind. I remember you had llamas, and you guys would bring us watermelons and cantaloupes and stuff that were grown on the farms. Does all that still happen?
Now, we don't have watermelons and cantaloupes, but I still own cattle. I've got about 130-something head of Black Angus. The tree farm, which, was 1,200-acre tree farm.
Diddly Dad Burn Tree Farm.
That belongs to my brother's side of the family.
Okay.
But a lot of houses, a lot of land.
The development, is Barringer Wood still around?
Yeah. So I'm
Are you still involved with Fox Den Country Club? Or
no, that's gone.
Okay.
But I still own and manage all the farming and all the houses and
still
rentals.
construction? Or is it still a construction company?
No, not much. Not much.
So you sort of consolidated certain things, or
still
got rid.
Own a lot of farm equipment. Still own a lot of that. But once he got all that land developed, he didn't quite need all the farm people and development like what you're talking about.
Yeah. I remember it's just like almost every day you'd go in there and Udine, what is Udine into now?
Constantly.
He was. I could go on. I could tell 1,000 stories about working here. I don't want to keep you all very long. I was hoping we could walk around and let me say this before we go walk around the tour. Is there anything you'd want to say to people? Since I do have 38,000 people that subscribe, I mean, what would you say to people to encourage them about travel and to make them not worry
I would say, first of all, if you are worried, stay at home. Wait till you are comfortable. We want you to enjoy the trip. Yes. We don't want you to feel so concerned that you're overwhelmed with your safety that you're not able to enjoy it. Yeah. Come on the trip when you're ready, because those who are there and going, they are excited to be there. They are ready to get out and about. They are wanting to talk to people. And our customers truly love each other, and they love people. So that's the part of the fun, is getting to know those new people, friendships, fellowships, seeing new people while you're doing that is awesome. Yeah. So I say when you're ready, come. Give us a shot.
You're not gonna travel with better people, and it's not just because of you two, but because of just the whole team. And I do think I worked with the best people that I've ever worked with when I worked at Christian Tours. I just think of all the. It was what I needed at that point in my life, and God led me to another place, and I've had my sort of experiences that I needed to have there, and they continue. And the whole YouTube thing, I just wanted you people to know, those of you who've asked, that this is where I learned how to do web. I remember one day Udine came in and he said, or I came in and Udine said, you know, we've got these VCRs on the buses and we got all these tapes that people send us from places, and we should be showing people places on the bus as they're riding in between places, the boring places. Let's show them videos of places they could go. And I thought, that's brilliant, Udine. How do we do that? And he went, and I think he spent like $12,000 buying a video. I was one of the first people in North Carolina outside of broadcast that had a very excellent nonlinear video suite down there in the basement. And I remember we'd put these videos together, and pretty sophisticated stuff for the time. Back, it was about 1996 or 97, somewhere along in there. And it was, like I say, he was just a thinker. He was a dreamer. It looks like you're carrying that on. And I'm proud that you're still here, even though you're facing challenges. I want to show people from the air how beautiful this place is. How many acres is the grounds here, Melanie? Do you know?
From here to my house and around, probably about 700 acres,
Wow.
maybe, something like that.
So I'm going to fly the drone around it. Heather, you ever flown a drone?
No.
I think you need to.
I'm
We're
ready.
going to let you fly. So I'm going to see if the ladies will at least show me around a little bit, and they can tell us what the different departments or whatever are. And then I'm going to let Melanie go home because I know she's tired. She's had a hard day. She's a hard-working woman. Melanie, you cool to do that? Or
I'll let Heather
Let
show
Heather do
you
it?
around.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
she's good at that. She's a good tour director.
So let's go do a little tour of Christian Tours.